again. I welcome you all to today's workshop. Before we begin, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Sanjeevni and I've completed my master's in clinical psychology and I'm a psychologist here at MindTribe. I specialize in areas such as anxiety, overthinking, relationship concerns, narcissistic abuse, and sleep concerns. The co-host for today is Ms. Anisha Shon. Anisha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Sanjeevni. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop. My name is Anisha, and I am a full time psychologist working with MindTribe. My specialized areas are in past unresolved issues, stress, health, and relation. So, in today's workshop, there are a few ground rules that we will go through. So, this is a non judgment zone. So, be respectful of others' journeys. What is said in group stays in group. Listen to others and give others the space to share. Okay? You can pass if you don't want to speak, or you can use the chat box as well. What you put into this group, this is what you'll get out of this group. So do interactions, okay? And you'll be learning more and more about introspection and self discipline in this workshop. So you may raise your hand or use the chat box if you have any questions or if you want to ask something. Um, Also, keep your mics and cameras off all time. Okay, and handing it over to Sanjeevni.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anisha. Okay, we'll begin now. So I have a quick question for you guys. If you could describe your inner self in just one word, what would that be? Don't overthink. The first word that comes to your mind is usually the most honest one. So you can raise your hand and tell me, or you can type it in the chat box. Someone has raised their hand. Just a second. Okay, Zainab has written scared. Okay, confused, fun. Okay, anyone else? Child, content, doubt, confused. Okay, not know, insecure, free spirited. Okay, so we got different responses. That's really wonderful, guys. So we'll quickly understand why you're feeling this. What is it that's making you feel this way throughout this workshop, right? So thank you so much for responding. Now, we'll quickly understand what is introspection, right? Let's take a moment to imagine holding a mirror, not to your face, but to your mind and your heart. So, introspection is that mirror. It's the practice of looking inward, of pausing the noise around you to focus on your inner world. So, let us understand what introspection really means, right? So, at its core, it's three simple but powerful things. First, it's about pausing and looking inward. It's noticing your thoughts, feelings, experiences without judging them. Almost like asking yourself, why do I think or feel that way? Second, it's like having a personal conversation with yourself. You ask gentle, honest questions and really listen to what's going on inside. And third, it's introspection helps you understand why you react the way you do. It helps uncover the reasons behind your emotions, behaviors, things we often ignore or which we push aside. So you kind of understand the why aspect. So in the world that's constantly loud and busy, right? Introspection is your moment of quiet, a little space to slow down, hear your inner voice, and grow from inside out. So it might not always be easy, but it's definitely worth it. Now we'll understand why introspection. Why should we even bother with introspection, right? Well, in a world that's always pulling us in 100 different directions, right? In the form of notifications, deadlines, expectations, introspection is what helps us slow down and come back to ourselves. So imagine it like an anchor that keeps us grounded. So it's not just some deep or fancy concept, right? It's really a way to get to know yourself better and to live more intentionally, right? Here's how it helps. First, it helps you notice or identify what you're feeling and thinking. So, what patterns keep showing up, what drives your choices. So, you begin to notice these things. Then, it helps you own or acknowledge what you see. It could be both good and the tough things. And it's about being real with yourself without being harsh. And finally, it helps you understand or recognize the deeper why behind your reactions, emotions, and behavior. So when we do this, that is, when we identify, acknowledge, and recognize what's going on inside, we begin to align with who we truly are. So introspection isn't just about fixing yourself, it's about knowing yourself. And that's where the real growth begins. Now, let us understand the bond between introspection, self discovery, and self awareness. So consider these three things as the stepping stones, each one leading you into, little deeper into who you really are. So it all starts with introspection. So this is your quiet moment to look inward. You start to notice patterns in how you think, feel, react. Yeah, it's like I said, holding up a mirror and asking, what's really going on inside me? And that leads to self discovery. So now that you've looked within, you begin to understand who you are underneath it all, right? What you truly want, what lights you up, what holds you back. So you start uncovering your values, dreams, even hidden fears through self-discovery, right? And then comes self-awareness. So this is where it all clicks, right? You start making conscious choices based on what you've learned about yourself. So you become more intentional in your actions, in your relationships, and how you handle the challenges. So these three aren't separate concepts, but they're deeply connected with one another. So introspection opens the door to discovery, and discovery deepens your awareness, and awareness helps you live more fully and authentically. Right? That's how growth happens. It's like one step at a time by paying attention to yourself. Now we'll take a closer look at these three concepts. Okay. First, about introspection. Okay, let's be honest. We all have that little inner voice that keeps running in the background, right? But how often do we actually sit down and listen to it? So, introspection is like having that little heart to heart conversation with yourself. It's not like, not rushed or distracted, you know, but the kind where you really check in and ask, hey, what's going on in there? So, this little conversation usually circles around four things, that is, thoughts, emotions, motivations, and behavior. So, if it's thoughts, you kind of ask questions like, what stories are playing in your mind? Are they helpful or just on repeat from old habits or fears? And if we talk about emotions, it could be, how do you really feel right now? Is it joy, frustration? Maybe you're just tired. So, this is about letting yourself feel without pushing it away or judging it. And then comes motivation. That is what really drives you, what pulls you out of the bed every morning, or something that keeps you stuck. So, getting honest here shows what it truly means. And then finally, this behavior. How are these things showing up in your actions, right? Are your reactions, habits, choices reflecting what you actually want? So this isn't about just being deep all the time. It's just about making space to connect with your inner world, with how you live and show up every day. Because the more you kind of understand yourself, right, the easier it becomes to grow, heal, and stay true to who you really are. Now we'll talk about self-discovery, right? So when you pause and look inward, few powerful things begin to happen. First, you begin to see what really drives you, your passions and your dreams, right? And then you also notice your inner conflicts, like when your actions don't really match your values. That's when the conflict happens. You also get a clear understanding on what truly matters, and not what others expect from you, right? What matters to you, you get a clear picture of that. And you also start to recognize your emotional triggers, right? If something's triggering you, you begin to recognize that. So, together with introspection and self discovery, it helps you gain more clarity and honesty, and that aligning your life with who you really are. Now, this is the important part, which is the self awareness. So, self awareness is like a superpower. It helps you understand your thoughts, emotions, and actions so that you make better choices. So, here's how you do it in your daily life: monitor. Just start noticing. What are you thinking or feeling in the moment? What's your usual reaction when someone upsets or excites you? So, you begin to monitor this and then recognize. Look for patterns. Do you always react the same way in certain situations? Or what is it that triggers you? So the more you recognize these things, right, the more clarity you gain. And then finally, align. Once you're aware, you start shifting your behavior. You begin making choices that match your values instead of just reacting on autopilot mode, right? So when you're self-aware, you respond with intention instead of just acting out, right? Okay. So we have a small activity here. Tell me, how are you navigating your inner world? So I'm giving you three statements, right? First is, I often pause and check in with my thoughts and feelings. If you think this applies to you, give me a heart emoji, right? If you think, I sometimes am aware, but I get caught up in my habits, then give me a thumbs up. Okay, I see a few thumbs up as well. I rarely stop to notice what's going on inside me. If this is applicable to you, then give me a popper. Okay. So we have all three coming in, right? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for responding. Now, you will better understand these concepts in the form of the case study, so which I'll be explaining. So Ayan is a 28-year-old marketing professional. He had all the markers of success: a stable job, professional achievements, and outward confidence. Yet deep inside, he constantly felt stressed and dissatisfied. Despite his accomplishment, there was a lingering feeling of emptiness. He often found himself pushing people away, feeling misunderstood in both personal and professional relationships. And over time, this emotional disconnect took a toll on his well being, leaving him feeling drained and exhausted. So, recognizing that something deeper was at play, Ayan decided to seek support and began working with a counselor to explore what was really going on beneath the surface. So, this marked the beginning of his journey towards greater self awareness. Now, the first step Ayan took was self introspection. So, as he began to reflect and look inward, few patterns started showing up. He was overworking, not staying busy, but he kept pushing himself nonstop, thinking success would fix the emptiness he felt in life. So instead, he ended up feeling even more exhausted. Then he also got angry when he was criticized. This was not because the feedback was wrong, but deep down he felt, it triggered a fear that he was not good enough. And he also struggled to trust people. So even those who cared, he kept them at a distance because he was scared of being hurt, and that left him feeling misunderstood and alone. So, through introspection, Ayan uncovered the roots of his emotional exhaustion, anger, and trust issues, allowing him to begin understanding why he felt the way he did. Next, next came self discovery. So, once Ayan started noticing his patterns, he took a deeper step into self discovery. This is where things started to shift for him. He realized his restlessness wasn't about not being successful. It was because he wasn't doing what truly made him feel alive. He uncovered some deep trust issues, and through reflection, he connected them to past experiences. The moments that shaped him, how he viewed people and relationships. And the biggest aha moment was when he discovered that he was happiest when working on things that he was actually passionate about, not for praise, not for money or status, but that which gave true meaning to him. Right? So this part of his journey gave Ayan a clarity about what he needed and what wanted to feel more connected and fulfilled in life. Then finally came the self-awareness part. So as Ayan continued his journey, self-awareness became his superpower. It helped him respond to life with more clarity and intention. So at work, he noticed that he was overworking just to avoid certain feelings. He became aware that the patterns which he started noticing, and he slowly began to set healthier boundaries. In relationships, he realized how his trust issues were holding him back. With time, he allowed himself to open up more, and that helped him see the real him, right? And then in moments of anger, he learned to pause and check in with himself. Instead of snapping or shutting down, he asked, "What's really going on here?" That one little pause made all the difference. So self awareness helped Ayan stop running on autopilot and start living more intentionally and taking it one moment at a time. So, what did Ayan finally realize? His relationship got better as he opened up more. He pursued a creative passion, which actually truly made him happy. He became more aware of his thoughts, emotions, helping him respond instead of react. So, in short, Ayan started living more in tune with who he truly was. Okay, so I'm going to pause at this point. If you have any questions, anything, you can ask me now. Yeah, DA is asking, Ayan changed his career. What passion did he see to? Could he sustain himself? Yes. So the thing is, Ayan was actually doing his current job, that was mostly because um, it he thought that was a status symbol. He was getting money, praise, so he thought these were the factors for happiness, right? But this was not the actual scenario. He was truly passionate about the service industry, right? He wanted to contribute more. So working in an NGO, right, that was his passion. He wanted to help people. So the minute he realized that, okay, this is what I want to do in life, that's when the shift happened. Okay, so autopilot, please explain. Okay, so autopilot is when you just are going with the flow, not thinking about what's actually going on inside me. You're just like leading each day as and when it's coming. So you're not checking in on your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, right? Autopilot is like, okay, chal raha hai, let it happen. I'm not gonna bother. Maybe I'll deal with this later, right? I hope I was able to answer that. Can we? Um, she is asking how he managed all this, both job and passion. So she actually, when he truly realized what made him happy, what were the contributing factors, right? So that is when he started taking things one step at a time, right? So this is what self introspection, self discovery, and self awareness does to a person, right? Okay, Sushma is asking, why is it sometimes difficult to understand what we really want to do in life? That's a really good question, Sushma. So what happens is like we are so, taught by, let's say, society, by our parents, okay, you have to follow this career path only, or you have to um, be in a certain way. You shouldn't show your emotions, right? You kind of think that, okay, that is actually the reality. If I show my emotions, it'll be like I'm vulnerable, or I'm weak. This is what is actually projected to the society. So when you actually tune in with your inner self, right? That's when you actually get to know how to be the most authentic self, right? I hope I was able to answer your question, Sushma. How could he sustain himself with an NGO job? Money is also, yes, definitely, dear, definitely. But there's something called passion, right? So that is something which we can't ignore, correct? What truly makes us happy, right? So there are times when we do get in a fix. Okay, should I get into this fancy corporate job, which is paying well, or something that is truly making me happy, living my authentic self? So that is when you kind of truly look inward and see, am I being my authentic self? So with Ayan, he did this and he found his calling, right? Um, sorry, I'm not able to pronounce your name. Sushant Nath. If someone is triggering us and we are triggered, whose whose fault is now? Um, is it them who triggered, or is it us who's getting triggered because of low self-awareness? Can we blame them by saying that because of you, I got triggered? First of all, it's really great that you recognized your trigger. It may not be like you're wondering what just happened, right? You're understanding there is a trigger aspect. It could be one statement said by a person, right? That's affecting you. Now it's completely up to you how you take it forward, right? You know the effect that one statement has on you, right? Uh, let's say, for example, someone says, you're not worthy, right? So if you kind of believe in that one little statement, then you kind of it consumes you throughout, right? But when you know your true authentic self, that okay, that person may have his insecurities which is making him say this way, but I know my worth, and this one statement is not going to affect me. So that is how you build your barrier, and then you filter out these negative statements which is only going to affect you, right? I hope I was able to answer your question. Yes, Sachi, you've raised your hand. Has anyone raised their hand? Okay.
Hi, am
Yeah.
I audible, Sanjeevni?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hi, Sanjeevni. So I know that, like I understood that Ayan did introspection. He figured out his triggers and thought patterns.
Hmm.
And then, even though he was quite successful, but he wanted to do something which fulfills him.
Right,
But in this fast-paced era where there are so many distractions and expectations out of us, because most of us are living with families also,
right,
how do we take out time for so many things like introspection also, working out on your passion also, making money also? So
right.
sometimes, although all of this sounds very healthy and good ways of solving problems, but the
Hmm.
issue is that we don't have so much time in hand. And sometimes the people deliberately create obstacles also, because if someone's doing good, there are a lot of people behind them who will try to sabotage them. So a lot
Correct.
of time goes in navigating your life's problems, life's issues along with people, because a lot of politics also happens. So from
Hmm.
where do we manage to get time where we introspect also, work on our creative hobbies also, our thought patterns also? So it's just that like how do we structure this?
Right. That's a really valid question, because this is a fast-paced world, right? Like every day is different, right? But in this busy life, it's at least possible to take 5 minutes a day, right? 5 minutes, that's not a lot, right? You can start not even 5 minutes, even 30 seconds of just intentional pause, right? Could be, you're brushing your teeth, right? So you have a pattern every day. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you have your coffee, right? But if you keep that 5 minutes fixed, let's say before your bedtime, 9:30, you keep an alarm, right? And you just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Right? What's the weight that I've been carrying today? That also is part of introspection. right? It's like a mini break which you're taking, mental break which you're taking, right? You don't have to always do the right thing, but you just have to make little space for it, right? Like, it's like you're having a small reflection, and that is where you kind of understand, okay, maybe this is where I'm focused on right now, and I shouldn't be fixated on this. There are other things I can focus on. So when you begin to kind of analyze everything, right? Why is this making me feel this way? So that is when you actually kind of know how to be your authentic self, right? There are people who would definitely pull us down, who kind of, are distractions. But that little 5 minutes in a day, if you start with that, it's going to create a huge impact later on, right? Because it happens that, in our busy lives, we forget that this emotion came up, I'll deal with that later. You begin to suppress it, right? So later, once it erupts like a volcano, that's when you feel like, okay, this is too much for me to handle, right? I hope I was able to answer your question.
Hi Sanjeevani. Yes, very well explained.
Yeah.
I have another doubt now. So, to be honest, because I have been going through some issues,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course, I think all of us are hearing this one statement too much now, that I will take all obstacles as opportunities for growth. So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I motivate myself by that. I do analyze the situation and try to figure out solutions, but the thing with me is, I can't come up with a solution in like 5 minutes, because the thing, I kind of take 10 minutes to analyze, then another 10 minutes to come up with the situation. And sometimes I get into that pattern. So a lot of people say that, you overthink too much. Does this
Mm-hmm.
count under overthinking if you are like spent? I feel I'm a chronic overthinker. That is what I've been told. Because let's say if someone's triggered me while I'm working, and they keep on saying a negative comment, and it's like, one day you let it pass, but it's happening to you repeatedly, like let's say all 7 days. Then of
Mm-hmm.
course you try to figure out what's wrong, how do I come out of this, what's the solution. So I mean, I get into that loop of a spiral, like I start spiraling, and I feel bad about it. Then after 10 minutes, when you are like, okay, fine, now life has to go on, let's let go and forgive, and then you find solutions. So does
Mm-hmm.
this come under overthinking if you're spending too much time in introspection?
Actually, what you're saying is very human, because you are stuck in that loop as to, why, how, right? So your all your energy is just going in that loop, correct? So, like, when this happens, think of this like a messy room, right? Instantly, you may not be able to clean it, but at least if you can start putting things in place, let's say you start folding your clothes and putting it in the wardrobe, right? Even that's a start, right? So you don't have to do everything instantly, right? You said like you take 10 minutes, but you thinking about it, making a start, that itself is a step further, right? So see, I'm not sure which context you're talking about, but y- the thing is, you can't find answers instantly, but even if you start moving towards the solution, that itself is a win, right? For this, you kind of have to take a pause from your day-to-day activity. So that is where the grounding comes in. Grounding is like coming to the present moment, because our mind works in the overdrive mode, like, it's autopilot mode. It's like immediately it goes to 100 scenarios. Okay, this might happen, this might happen. So you can't exactly call this overthinking, but it is actually kind of helping you in a way to consider different scenarios that might happen, right? So which is unnecessary actually. You just have to take one step, and then you're actually coming towards the solution itself, right?
Great, great. Thanks a lot, Sanjeevni.
No problem, Sachi. Any other question? Yes, dear, you raised your hand.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So the thing is, I try to be self-aware, and I try to use that the wheel of emotions to pinpoint what I'm feeling.
Mhm.
in that moment. But after that, what is the next step? I'm totally stuck. Like, yeah, like I found that I'm feeling this emotion and this emotion. That's it. But
Right.
what is the next step? The thing is, whenever I try to be self aware,
Mhm.
it brings my attention to all the negative things because most of the time I am feeling negative because right now I'm in a very difficult phase in life.
Mhm.
And when I try to be self aware, it brings my attention to all these problems and it makes me more sad, more depressed.
Mhm.
So, what is the use of being self aware then? Or
Yeah.
am I doing it wrong?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this, and more power to you. Yeah. So, see, the goal of self awareness is not to feel good instantly, right? It is just to be honest with yourself so that over time you can actually care for what's going on and not just cover up, you know, whatever had happened. So, if you're feeling mostly negative, right, even that is information, right? Like if your system is saying something needs attention, right, that is the first step towards, you can say, change, right? You're not ignoring it, but you're facing it with kindness. That's what you can say, right? So you don't have to instantly say that I'm self-aware, because it's a journey, it's going to take some time. But you know, even if those negative thoughts, they do come, consider those as information. You're understanding something, it's the realization that is happening, right? We'll have to explore more on that aspect, right? We'll have to dig a little deeper to understand why I'm feeling this way, right? I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have a quick ad break. So I'll quickly explain a little bit about counseling. One-on-one counseling is a personalized confidential session which happens between a client and a trained therapist. So it's mostly for personal growth, problem solving, and goal setting. There are a few common misconceptions about counseling, that it's for only those people who are sick. But in reality, counseling is for anyone who wants to be their best version, right? Be it in better relationships, more friends, having academic success, or career advancement. Why choose MindTribe Counseling? Because we have a team of highly trained counselors and it's at affordable charges, starting from 500 to 5,000, depending on the seniority of the counselor. The first session is at a minimal cost of rupees 99, and we also have affordable packages. So if you have any questions, you may ask now. Otherwise, Anisha and I will be sharing our details in the WhatsApp group after the workshop. You can reach out to us anytime. Yeah, I'll give a pause. Any questions here? Okay. Now, we have one more quick activity. It's called Emotion Snapshot. So, name a word that represents your current emotional state. You can unmute and tell me, or you can put it in the chat box. One word that represents your current emotional state. Annoyed, okay. Stable. Anyone else? Abandoned, panic or impulsive, confused. Stable, yet anxious, okay. Angry, relaxed, tired, exhausted, confused, happy, relaxed, perturbed, okay. Okay, so we have a wide range of re- uh, reactions coming in. Okay, now tell me, what is it that made you feel this way today? You can just, give a small brief. What is it that made you feel it? Depressed, past memories, okay. Because of my health, okay. Complete on my health, okay. You're tired, extremely uncertain, okay. People creating options hampering my daily life routine, productivity, past and future, presence of mind, partner's anxiety, worry about the future. Okay, so we are getting different responses here. So it's important that you first understood your emotions and why it made you feel this way. There was some instance that has been carried on, and that's why you're feeling this way, right? Even today. May have happened yesterday, but it's still with you, right? Now, this is why it's important to talk about emotional tuning, right? So, emotions tell us what's happening in our inner world, right? We don't have to stay stuck with them. So, how do we shift from just noticing our emotions to working with them? That is where emotional tuning comes in. So, think of this like adjusting a radio dial. So, right now, you've identified the station. It could be like, static or clear or calm or chaotic, but it's not serving you, right? You can gently tune to a different frequency. So, the one that helps you feel more grounded, more focused, more resilient, right? So, if I have to ask, how often do we tune into our emotions? There's usually three kinds of responses we get. First, by most people, this is where many of us fall. We get caught up in the chaos of daily life, right? So emotions, they kind of stay in the background until they're too loud to ignore, and they build up, and the frustration spills in, correct? And then there are mindful individuals. So these are the folks who naturally tune in. They notice how they're feeling throughout the day and get curious about their emotions instead of judging them, right? For them, like check-in is like brushing your teeth, right? It's just part of the routine. And then there are highly self-aware individuals. So these people have built the habit of emotional check-ins, right? They can sense even the small shift in their mood and know how to adjust it. So, like, it's like having an inner compass that helps them navigate situations more calmly and clearly. Now, the main question here is, why do we often ignore our emotions? Can someone tell me? Why do we ignore our emotions? The answer is very simple, actually. Fear, right? Anxiety, which will not give, yes, exactly. Does not know how to get rid of them, correct? Not know how to solve them, right? Exactly. Because we've been told feelings are not right. Yes, correct, Namika. So the first thing is, you know, busy lives, right? We all live in this fast-paced world, always rushing from one thing to the next. Like, it could be work, responsibilities, messages, deadlines. It never stops, right? So in the middle of all this noise, we forget to take a pause and ask, how am I really feeling? So emotions, they take a backseat because there's hardly no space to sit with them, right? We are so busy doing that we forget to just be, right? The other thing is emotional avoidance. Sometimes we feel something's bubbling up, could be sadness, anxiety, anger, but it's so uncomfortable, right? Maybe we're afraid that it'll be too overwhelming and it'll make us look vulnerable, right? So instead of facing it, we tend to distract ourselves, start scrolling on social media or binge watching, or we keep busy, right? So we avoid to sit with the feeling, right? But here's the thing, like, avoiding emotions doesn't disappear, right? They just wait, and often they come out later in a more intense and harder to manage way, right? And then there's cultural norms. So like I said, most of us, we grow up hearing things like don't cry, be strong, stop being so emotional, right? And without even realizing, we begin to start showing emotions as a weakness. So especially in certain cultures, where genders and family systems, how they work, expressing feelings openly is actually discouraged, right? So we learn to suppress rather than express. And that builds up emotional distance between us and our true selves, correct? Now, if you're wondering how to actually tune in with your emotions, here are two simple techniques, right, which we'll be doing together. First is inner weather report, the other one is whisper of intentions. So get comfortable, We'll do these two activities right now. All right. Let's pause for a moment and tune in. Go ahead, close your eyes, get comfortable, take slow, deep breaths in and out. One more. In and out. Now imagine your emotions as weather patterns. What's the forecast inside you right now? Is it sunny, cloudy, stormy, breezy? Just notice what's there. Take one more slow breath, let it out. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and you can tell me what weather pattern do you notice? Breezy, stormy, okay, cloudy, cloudy and stormy. Right. A lot of people are saying cloudy, stormy, gloomy rainstorm at night. Okay. Right. So whatever your inner weather is, it's okay. So emotions do shift, right? Just like sky. But the goal here isn't to change it, it's just to notice it, right? So now that we've checked in with your inner weather, let's take a quick moment to gently reaffirm, like few affirmation statements, which I'll be saying. You can quietly, silently repeat it in your mind or just whisper it softly, right? I honor every feeling as part of my inner landscape. I honor every feeling as part of my inner landscape. My emotions are natural, passing like clouds in the sky. My emotions are natural, passing like clouds in the sky. I welcome sunny and stormy days, each teaching me something new. I welcome sunny and stormy days, each teaching me something new. So you don't have to fix what you feel, right? You just have to notice it and hold space for it. So these are few affirmations you can tell yourself. So now we'll be doing the second activity, which is called Whisper of Intentions. So emotional tuning starts with a whisper, right? Not of words spoken loudly, but of intention, right? So take a moment, close your eyes, choose one word you want to set for your day. That word could be calm, strength, creativity, confidence. Repeat it like a calming mantra to recenter yourself. So throughout the day, silently repeat the word like a whisper when you need to focus. Okay. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, choose your word, take a deep breath again, let it out, open your eyes. Tell me which word have you chosen for today? Calm, persistent, calm, resilience, motivation, strength, concentration, confidence, strength. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So carry this whisper with you today, right? Make this as your mantra for today. Strength, calm, happy. It's wonderful, guys. Felt yes, Kanvi, it's very natural, because we kind of have different feelings coming in, right? So it's completely natural, right? But the more you practice it, you kind of make it into a positive practice, right? like crying again now, right? So these are some of the maybe suppressed emotions, feelings, right? Which are now acknowledging fear. I don't know why. Right, right. Make this into a practice, right? These are positive affirmations we'll be talking about as well. So I'll quickly talk about those things as well. Just a second. Right. So some of the affirmations you can tell is my intentions guide me with gentle purpose. My intentions guide me with gentle purpose. I'm aligned with my inner values and trust my journey. I'm aligned with my inner values and trust my journey. Today, I choose to live in harmony with my deepest desires. Today, I choose to live in harmony with my deepest desires. Okay, so carry one of these whispers with you today and let it return like a tide, natural and effortless. And watch it how it transforms your challenging situations. Right? Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, someone raised their hand. Yeah, please go ahead. Okay. So start practicing these two activities in your daily life. So, the weather report, inner weather report, that's something you can do at night, maybe have a quick check-in so that you kind of realize how the day was, how you're feeling at the moment. And whisper of intentions is something you can do in the morning. That's something you can carry throughout the day, right? Okay. Now, here's a small takeaway activity called evening mirror check, right? So tonight, take 5 quiet minutes, right? Not a lot, just 5 quiet minutes before you sleep. And it's just you and your reflection. So this activity isn't about judgment, it's only about curiosity and kindness. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what moment from today stayed with me and why, right? It could be a conversation, a feeling, or even silence. Just observe it without rewriting it. Just observe and then ask, how did I respond emotionally? And what does that teach me about myself? Yeah. So your emotions are messengers, right? Listen to what they're revealing and then ask, what would I like to carry forward into tomorrow? Is it a lesson, a lightness, a boundary? Let it be simple. Yeah. And finally, thank yourself for showing up today, right? Because we are so harsh on ourselves, right? It's time to be compassionate, right? Self compassion is very important because tomorrow is a fresh page, right? So just ask yourself, what is it you like to carry for tomorrow? So I'll be sharing this screenshot in the WhatsApp group as well after the workshop. Now, as we wrap up today's session, I want to leave you with few gentle reminders, right? First is about introspection. Introspection is how we begin. It's that quiet check-in with ourselves. Then there's self-discovery, which helps us understand what truly matters to us. And then there's self-awareness. That is what turns all that insight into real intentional living. And remember, your emotions aren't problems to be fixed. They're just messengers. They're here to guide you, not to overwhelm you. So keep tuning in. Your inner world is always speaking, right? All you have to do is listen. Okay. So here are a few book and movie recommendations. You can take a screenshot of this. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today and being so interactive and engaging. Really appreciate you taking the time to pause, reflect, connect with yourself. And please remember, every little step counts, right? It makes a huge difference. So if you have any questions, you may ask me now. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Sure, can be. I'll do that. Sure, I'll. Yeah, just a second. Yes, Sharika, tell me.
Hi, it was a very insightful webinar today. I really loved it and it was very, very knowledgeable. Thank you so much. I
Thank
just wanted to ask you,
you.
when you said what emotions you're feeling today, question like what word represents you. So I said I'm like a little perturbed, and
Hmm.
why I was perturbed was because of a friend's anxiety level, which is like disturbing me. So it's
Hmm.
not my emotions, but somebody else's emotions, which are, kind of triggering me. So how do what's the self-awareness and clarity which I need to get from it?
So it was something that a friend made an impact on you, right?
Yeah,
So,
some
okay,
messages, I was like calm, then I got perturbed by that friend's anxiety,
right.
and that's how I'm feeling right now. Yeah.
Hmm. So first of all, thank you so much for sharing that, right? So, so emotional disturbances, right? That they are kind of uneasy, but they're very much valid, right? Especially when it comes to relationships or closed ones, could be friends, family. They kind of touch deep. The emotional part kind of they tap into us little deeper, right? So even these small moments might you might feel like it's too much, right? The emotion is too much here. So the first thing is you noticed it. It was that that awareness part was there, that it was something that they said it, and then that affected you, right? So the goal here is not to overanalyze or judge your emotions, right? It is to understand that we value and we will set boundaries here. So it's
Yeah.
up to you how you let that boundary, whether it's going to cross the boundary or you're going to set the barrier here, right? That will give you clarity in the way you respond, because especially we get hurt when our near dear ones, parents, they say something, right? But how you create that boundary barrier, that is actually where the awareness part comes in, right? I was able to I
Yeah.
hope I was able to answer your question. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. um Sometimes feel very sad about but cannot understand why we're feeling. um Time to know the origin where it's coming from, right, Anamika? So what happens is, we don't understand why am I feeling this way at times, correct? So that is because we kind of are not taking a pause and understanding our triggers, right? So the minute we understand that what is the situation, so if you remember I asked you the question, right? What is that one word you're feeling at the moment, and then what made you feel this way? So if you take a pause and just think that, okay, was it something someone said that is affecting me? That is when you kind of understand कि क्यों हुआ मेरे साथ ऐसा, right? Yes, Ganya, I'm sharing, right? Okay, I'll be sharing the recommendation on WhatsApp also. Okay, just a second. So it was related to introspection, right? And then we understood why introspection is to identify, acknowledge, and recognize. Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Anamika. Thank you, everyone, for being so interactive and such wonderful participants. So, Anisha and I will be sharing the our details on WhatsApp group. So, if you have any questions, if you want to book a session with us, you can reach out to us on WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much again for being part of the space. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Yeah, can we? So to answer your question, you can start with micro check-ins. That's hardly it'll take 1 minute per day, right? So just ask yourself, one word, how am I feeling right now? Or what is it like? Why am I feeling tired? Right? What do I need to do today? Should I rest? Should I go for a walk? Right? Should I work on something? So this gets you into a habit, right? Of noticing something without putting pressure on yourself. And secondly, you can also do check on your physical symptoms, right? If you're feeling like there's a heaviness in your chest, or if your shoulders it's feeling heavy, or your jaw is feeling clenched, right? Why am I feeling this? Is it because of I'm feeling something like emotionally? Is that the reason? So there's always a connection between body and mind. Right? Start noticing that little connection, right? And then also you can pick one prompt per day, like when do I most uh, like myself? At what point of time do I most find myself loving, like self love? When does that happen? Or what drains me? Right? Just pick one prompt and then start addressing that. It's okay. It happens, if you don't have the practice of journaling, initially it might feel too overwhelming. So this is when just one line prompts will help, right? Yeah. There could be a lot of factor for this fear, Tanvi. So we'll have to figure that, dig a little deeper. So you can connect with me on WhatsApp and we can discuss more on this. Yeah, perfect. Okay, everyone. Have a great weekend.